Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
The energy revealed. Brooklyn to Queens, reppin' both hoods. Rob and CP, keep it fire, misunderstood. Cheer 'em all loud, let the anthem flow. Mets fans unite at the pregame show. From city stand lights to the skyline greens, it's the heartbeat of Queens, the craziest dreams. Rob hype on the mic, CP's the fire spark. Together they ignite, voices like the park. Fans dripped in jerseys, legacy bold. The Metropolitan story forever told. Turnstile spinning, the crowd floods the gates. This is family, no time for debates. Crack of the Batman, the roar never fades. Queens in the blood, it's how champions are made. Cheer 'em all loud, let the anthem flow. Mets fans unite at the pregame show. From city stand lights to the skyline gleams, it's the heartbeat of Queens, the craziest dreams. 7-line swagger, vibes electric and wild. Mets legacy golden since I was a child. Orange crushed skies, let the battle ignite. We ride for the home team till the last fight.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the amazing Mets pregame show right here on the channel and on X. And I'm talking to you once again after another Mets loss, 14 out of 16. It's been an absolute disaster for this New York Mets team. They find new ways to lose. It's absolutely amazing. The offense is finally putting it together. Lindor is red hot. Alvarez looking better. It just looks like a better lineup. They're doing their jobs. If I'm not mistaken, they scored about 42 runs in the last 4 games, and they won one of them. Like, you can't make it up, guys. You really cannot make it up how the New York Mets are losing right now. They're giving their pitching leads. It's like 3 times a game at least. They're giving their pitching leads 3 times a game. I think out of the last 7 games, the Mets had a lead in every one of them, and they lost. That can't happen. And you know what? That goes for the starting pitching, that goes for the bullpen. And again, this is all good old Mr. David Stearns and the genius and his philosophy of putting a pitching staff together that is a bunch of question marks, reclamation projects, and 1-year deals. And when you go the cheap and short deal route and mediocre route, you're going to get mediocre results. And again, I'm not saying that nobody was excited about the acquisitions we got for the bullpen. I think people were pretty happy with the bullpen acquisitions. But again, do you know how many times they came here on August 1st? Was when most of the guys got here. I think Helsley, August 2nd. They only been here for 2 weeks, and it seems like they pitched every day. That cannot happen. I'm sorry to say, but that cannot happen. It just doesn't. It doesn't matter who's in there, right? They throw in Raley all of a sudden, he starts giving up runs. Helsley is the best guy all of a sudden that likes to give up runs every single day. You know, again, this is the problem when you get a closer from another team and you don't need him to close. The guys have problems in other innings. And I truly think that's the case. I guarantee you put Helsley in the 9th inning in a save situation, I guarantee he'll be lights out. Because the energy is there. The adrenaline is pumping. I don't think that he's that guy that needs that energy, that adrenaline running through his veins to pitch well, in my opinion. I don't feel like he gets that energy and that adrenaline in the 6th inning, in the 7th inning. Like, everybody's like, oh, why don't you go elsewhere? I'm sorry, but you know what? Mendoza's got to use those guys. Who else do you trust? Everybody has been giving up runs. You can't get the Diaz, so it's not like you can use him. You want to use Diaz in the 7th inning, and then you're going to have one of these guys go in the 9th. So I'm not mad when Mendoza puts in these guys. He's putting in his best guys. They're not doing the job. The other day, putting in Reed Garrett because somebody couldn't go deep into a game, and he gives up a grand slam. Even Tyler Rogers, who is Mr. Durable, and he was lights out with the Giants. Even he's breaking a little bit. All of these guys are already overused, and we have them for 2 weeks. It doesn't even make sense, and that's with a couple of days off. We constantly use these guys every single day. And on top of that, when you're going through a stretch of losing 14 out of 16, you got to keep on going back to the same guys that are the best in your bullpen and your high leverage guys. You got to win games. So I don't know. Who do you want to go to? You know what? How about let's bring Brazaban back. Let's bring him back. Let's see if he can do something. You know, do you want a Hageman who's back down in the minors? You want Montas to come back out? Like, that's the problem, guys. This is the problem. The way the Mets, even in the Braves series, they set themselves up because they got a couple of long, 4 or 5 innings from a couple of long men and saved their bullpen. And even with the extra rest, they're still not doing well. It is so much on the starting pitching. It's not even funny. Can we even call it a starting rotation? Can we? Kodai Senga pitched well. I'll give him credit for that. The other day, he pitched well, 100% pitched well, right? But as soon as there were signs of trouble, they're taking him out of the game. And don't blame Mendoza for that, because we've seen this story before with Kodai Senga. He wasn't walking nobody the entire game. He gets into the 6th inning, gets into a little bit of trouble, gives up a hit, and starts walking. His location looks a little bad, and it's downhill from there. And he hasn't pitched that many pitches since prior to when he got hurt. In what, June? May? Like, that's the problem. And yesterday with Sean Manaea is the same thing. He threw 5 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs. He had 1 walk with 7 strikeouts. Now, a lot of us would have said, hey, throw him back out there for the 6th inning. Why? So we can give up more runs? He wasn't good yesterday. He just wasn't. That's not good enough, right? We keep on talking about aces. Where are they? It ain't Manaea. He ain't fooling a lot of people. This is a Seattle Mariner team that is last in doubles. They hit 9 doubles yesterday. That's ridiculous. 9 doubles. They're last in the league in doubles, in extra base hits. And they're not very good with runners in scoring position. You heard that on the broadcast. They're not very good at runners in scoring position. They're in the bottom third of the league. They're not good in that area, yet they put up 11 runs against the Mets. They weren't all home runs. They doubled the Mets to death. And we continue to watch this in front of our eyes. And we sit there, and it's a slow death. It's not a quick death. Like that 9-run inning by the Braves, that happened kind of quick. But yesterday, it just, every time the Mets got a lead, just like a little cut to the skin, little cut. Then throw salt on the wound. It was a slow goddamn death. And it's been happening over this 2.5 week stretch. It is constant. They don't keep leads. And everybody be like, well, they got to score more runs. Even when they're scoring the other day, when they lost, when they only scored 3 runs and the Braves scored 4, you got to win that game. They gave you 2 leads in the game. 1-0 and 3-2. Keep the lead. The 3-2 came in the 6th inning. You had 9 outs to go. And you couldn't even hold on to that lead. You had a 6-0 lead against the Braves. I don't care what inning that is. That game should have been over. You don't need your offense to score. I mean, we would have had to score 12 runs to win that game. If you score 6 runs and your pitcher can't hold it, you got to question the pitcher. And let's be honest, guys, during this stretch, go back to this 2.5 week stretch, the offense has been perfectly fine. It's been all about the pitcher. I mean, there was actually a pitcher other than David Peterson that touched the mound in the 6th inning in Kodai Senga. Now, he couldn't even get through the 6th inning, But hey, you got to start somewhere. It's ridiculous, and I'm sick and tired of all. There was too many Met fans that wanted to concern themselves about the offense every single day when slowly but surely this pitching staff was dying in front of your eyes. Dying. I said this from the jump. Even the starting pitching that was so good in April and May, still wasn't going deeper into games. And constantly using the bullpen when we still had Minter and Young and those guys basically got them hurt because you used them too much. Your bullpen innings pitched and your starting pitching innings pitched should not be 15 innings close to each other. That is how close they are in innings pitched. That should not happen. It should be at least 40 innings difference from your starting pitching. That is how much they use it. They use their bullpen. It's ridiculous how they do things, and it sucks. I want to thank Angel for the super chat. He says, couldn't agree with you more, Rob. Stearns did a horrible job last offseason and this trade deadline with getting good starting pitching, but we have to hold on to a million young third basemen. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And again, I went to go back to check right before the deadline, or it was during the trade deadline. It was like 2 or 3 days before. And we heard the rumors about Luis Robert. Now, Vientos wasn't for a starting pitcher, but I do believe that Vientos could have been in a package with others to get a starting pitcher. 460 people voted. Nearly 60% said, no, I do not want to trade Vientos for Luis Robert. And that was just a straight up trade at the time that we heard. And people didn't want to do it. There is not one Met fan that thinks that Mark Vientos should be in a game now. Beatty and Mauricio needs to get the bulk. You want to DH somebody? Great. You want to DH somebody? I love it. DH one of those guys and play one of them at third base every day. I don't want to see Mark Vientos. Mark Vientos is a lost cause. He still can't adjust. He still can't adjust. He's batting under 200 on every breaking ball and off-speed pitch. He's barely hitting over 200 with on a fastball. When if you look back at last year, now they weren't throwing him a lot of off-speed pitches. They weren't throwing a lot of breaking balls last year. Why? Because there wasn't a real book on him except for the minor leagues, and they don't really use that book as a point of emphasis when you look at a batter. They throw what the pitcher likes to throw, and most of the time it's a fastball. And that's what they were doing. They were overly throwing him fastballs. And when they threw those fastballs, he was connecting on them. Now he's basically late on every fastball. He's so concerned about the outside corner and those breaking balls and off-speed pitches off the plate. And guess what happens? He's late on the fastball. He's striking out. He's grounding out softly. He keeps on popping up, shallow left field, shallow center field. Doesn't matter. This is the Mark Vientos. And this is why I always say, do not get overhyped about these guys. Let them have a second year. This is not a sophomore slump. I'm sorry. This is not a sophomore slump. Sophomore slump is better than this. This is a disaster. This is a guy that was given the third base job because of the success last year. This wasn't supposed to be a question on this team. And because Mark Vientos sucked, you got to have every other schmuck on this team that's a top prospect in Brett Beatty, Acuna, and Mauricio still can't even take over the full-time job because Beatty and Mauricio aren't very good. They're just better than Vientos. So you got to play somebody. That's my problem. And I agree with you, Angel. And also, thank you for becoming a member. I do appreciate that. I'm so annoyed at the process of, and I talked about this during the deadline, even before that. You can't leave the deadline and have a game during the deadline on August 1st and have all four of those third basemen and those infielders still a part of this team. Because one, you threw back in the minors in Acuna. Vientos is riding the bench every single day except for like once a week now. And Ronnie Mauricio and Brett Beatty are playing mostly. But most of the time, one of them is going to play. Today, there's two of them playing. So, it's such bad roster construction that even if it wasn't starting pitching, Vientos and Acuna and whatever other pitching prospect, which is not named McLean, Sproat, and Tong, you could have got Luis Robert in this lineup. And again, I didn't think we needed Luis Robert. I'd rather have Robert over Mullins, but Mullins has been fine. This offense always had the next level, always had the better potential. As I said, that you needed to work harder on this rotation than worrying about the lineup, because this team can score runs. Like, everybody just acts like, yeah, they haven't been scoring 7 runs per game or 6 runs per game, but they had the potential of scoring a 10-run game. They've always had that potential, and they've been better. It was always the pitching. I said that when everybody was killing me in April and May, when they, quote-unquote, had the best ERA in baseball. But that was the biggest flaw known to man. Because even though the offense wasn't doing a lot, they were still winning a lot of low-scoring games and a lot of close games. And a lot of that time was clutch hits late in games, where the Mets wouldn't score. They would score in the first 2 innings, and then they won't score until the 8th and the 9th. And it wasn't, and yes, the pitching held it, absolutely, but the offense actually took the lead a lot of the times late in games, even when they weren't hitting. And they're doing the same thing now. They're scoring runs, and they're still scoring late. But you can't give up 11 runs and expect the team to come back every single time. It just doesn't make sense. Does not make sense. It's frustrating. It's disgusting. It's a Saturday. If it's nice out where you are, go get a tan. Go do something. Seriously. Like, all you're going to do is stress yourself out on this Saturday midday afternoon. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm so sick and tired of the same nonsense. And you know what? I can't blame Mendoza anymore. Like, what is he supposed to do? Between Beatty, Mauricio, Vientos, they're not doing enough. So, I'd rather just sit Vientos and not even play him. Like, honestly, he's done. This guy should have been off the team. You should have got something for him. And everybody's like, oh, well, what if he turns into a really great player? Who gives a shit? He's playing for the Chicago White Sox. They're barely a major league team. Who cares? If he turns out to be a great player in 3 years or 4 years when he becomes a free agent, sign him. But who cares? And I wasn't overly concerned about the lineup, and Luis Robert would have been the better option. But again, Mullins is better than Tyrone Taylor offensively. He's been fine for us. I think Luis Robert would have been better for us overall because the talent has a lot more potential. And I think Mullins is just what he is right now. It seems like he lost a step or two overall, even on the offense since, a couple of years ago with the Orioles. But Luis Robert is a better player. He's better defensively, and he provides more power, a lot more speed, and there's just so much potential there. And it's so annoying. And you know what, Patrick? I don't even blame Vientos for checking out. Because, again, it is almost impossible to sit on the bench for 4 days, and then you look at the lineup and your name's in the lineup that day after you were just sitting on the bench for 4 days. And I don't even think he pitch hit in those 4 games. What is he supposed to do? Did anybody expect him to go 3 for 4? Come on. I don't care who you are. Sit somebody for 4 days, unless you're, Joe McEwen. You know what I'm saying? Like, Darryl Hamilton, like guys like that. Guys that had no problem coming off the bench and were really good pinch hitters. And bench guys that came off the bench. It is what it is. The Mets gave him the opportunity. He had to start in third base job. He lost it. Everybody's like, oh, you got to give him time. You gave him 2 months. More than that. You gave him about 2.5 months. Because it really wasn't, sitting Vientos until basically Mauricio came up. And then he had that big logjam with 94 infielders. And when Vientos wasn't hitting, he started to lose his job gradually. And the same thing goes for Luis Acuna. Everybody acts like Acuna didn't get a chance. Yes, he did. Beatty got sent down. He was the second baseman. They were playing Jeff McNeil in center field because Acuna, quote unquote won the job. And again, that is a very scarce thing to say because he was just a little bit better than Beatty, and Beatty was terrible. But the same thing happened to Acuna. His speed was useless as a starting position player because he never got on base. He didn't walk enough. He struck out a ton, and his average was garbage. What is that speed going to do? He was better off being on the bench and being a pinch runner. That's what he was good at. That is your top prospect, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? I'd rather him be on the White Sox right now, along with Vientos. Because at least I know Luis Robert is actually a professional ball player. Because combined with Vientos and Acuna, what do they have? 7 home runs, and most of them are all of them are Vientos. So yeah, I take that in a heartbeat because that's Brett Beatty, who has what, 14 home runs, 13, 14 home runs. He's probably on pace to hit about 18 to 19. And along with Ronnie Mauricio, who has 6, has only been up here like 2.5 months. Like, I'd rather just have those guys. And again, this is the problem. Like, Vientos has no options, so he's stuck here. This was another reason why David Stearns made no sense in the direction that he went at the trade deadline. Because he hates guys with no options. Vientos was out of options. This guy should have been traded just because of that. And on top of that, he sucks. At least you could have got somebody in here that was worth using on this roster, like an outfielder. But he didn't do that. So, and Radiant, I agree. I 100% agree with that. Vientos has no role on this team. He's not pinch running, that's for sure. You know, you might see him pinch hit from time to time, but even then, he's ice cold. He barely plays. He played yesterday after not playing for 4 days. Did anybody expect him to go 3 for 4? No. Like, I'm not mad at Mark Vientos the way he looked yesterday. What was he supposed to do? It's mostly his fault because he should be playing every day, but he lost his job. Boogie, you're nuts. Beatty's the better defensive player, and he's the better offensive player right now. You can't sit a guy who has been better all season, by the way, over Mark Vientos. You can't do that. You just can't. Yeah, Mullen, I don't agree with that. I think that they have to make a decision. They have to. And I do think you're going to see a starting pitcher in a trade in the offseason because that's the only way it makes sense. It's the only way it makes sense. And Mark Shea's doing good. Yeah, Shea was like, why'd you name me this, you dummy? That's my cat, by the way, guys, if you don't know. Let's see. Like I don't know why people don't like Beatty. Beatty has been our best player out of all the idiot prospects on this team that all underperformed. No, he wasn't hitting lasers. He during that 11 game hitting streak, he hit a couple of singles. Like Vientos being on the base path is the waste because he's station to station. That's what he is. He's station to station. If he's not hitting home runs, and again, he hit 1 home run, and it was a big home run in San Diego, and he almost had 2 home runs in that stretch. But it doesn't count because somebody caught it. I don't care how you catch it. He got robbed. You know what? Maybe hit it another 25 feet, but you can't control that. But in that 11 game, that's not what we need from him. We need him if you're going to bat 215, 220, you need to show power. You got 7 home runs. Mauricio has that many home runs, and he's been up 2 months less than Vientos. Vientos is not good. I'm sorry, he's not. He still hasn't adjusted. So instead of moping and looking lost on the bench, how about going in the batting cage, letting them throw sliders, curveballs, all off-speed and breaking ball pitches on the outside corner, and look how they move. Everybody's different when each pitcher is different with the movement, but have an idea. Like, I truly think that it's not just about Mark Vientos not playing well. I do think there's something more going on that he's probably not working enough. And the Mets don't like that. You don't sit for 4 days. Even Even Beatty, when he wasn't doing well, was getting more playing time than this. So it's either Vientos, the Mets don't believe in Vientos, or they don't like his work ethic right now and trying to figure things out. And, Vientos is a cocky guy. He got that, that's why they call him Swaggy V. He's got that swag. And I think it comes off as a little lackadaisical. And you know what? I hate to say that about him because he was great for us last year. But you don't go from that to basically a fringe major leaguer and a quadruple A player within a year. That's not a sophomore slump. That's not a sophomore slump. That is you're on. If you had an option, you'd be in AAA right now. That's how bad you are. And Boogie, I agree with you. I understand that. But here's the problem. Vientos is positionless. He's not a good third baseman. You're already failing in the pitching department. You don't need scrubs defensively at third base. At least Mauricio and Beatty are very, at least competent and probably above average defensively. And I think Beatty is the best out of them all. I like Mauricio at second base better than third base, in my opinion. I don't like Mauricio at third base. He has too much of that shortstop mentality, like he has more time than he actually does. Third base, they don't call it the hot corner for nothing. Brett Beatty is a natural third baseman. I like Beatty there. Mauricio should be playing second base. But again, McNeil has been playing well. You can't just, where are you going to play him? You're not sitting Nimmo. You're not sitting Juan Soto. He can play center field, but you got Mullins now. So that's the problem. And that is where we are when it comes to the roster construction. I keep on going back to that. Yeah, but Boogie, he had 2.5 months to figure it out. I'm sorry. No. You had the third base job. You don't get it back because you had a good week of games. I'm sorry. And again, Mark Vientos was a revelation last year because of his power. That's it. His defense was barely above average. It was better than this year, but it was barely above average. His trademark was power. When you don't hit for power, you are a very useless player for this team. Because there is no reason why, if you were hitting home runs, he would be DHing every day. But even Marte's hitting better than him. You can't sit Marte every day for Vientos. And Mauricio's had better at-bats, and Beatty has better at-bats. You got, after today, you got 39 games left. You can't keep on trying it out. This is not April. I had no problem with the Mets giving basically 3 months to Mark Vientos at third base. But when you continue to fail, you can't keep the same guy out there. You have other options. Use them. What I don't like is they keep on platooning these guys on an everyday basis. But again, that's not Mendoza's fault. That's Stern's roster construction. You shouldn't have this many guys playing the infield on this team. When you didn't trade any of them, you were leaving the same nonsense to Mendoza. And Mendoza feels obligated sometimes to play a guy that might not be very good right now because you need to get him at bats. It doesn't work. That's why I said, I don't care who you would have traded. I don't care if you would have traded Vientos, Acuna, Mauricio, Beatty, any one of those two. You had to trade 2 of them and get somebody else that can help this team. Because you can't, it's very hard for Mendoza to sit any of the, I don't think he wants to sit these guys. But where are you playing them? You're sitting Marte every day? For Vientos, you're out of your damn mind. Beatty and Mauricio deserve to play because they've been better than Vientos. You got a center fielder now, so McNeil is stuck at second base. So where can you put him? That's why the roster construction is stupid. That's why I didn't like when they brought up Acuna on opening day, when it was like a last-minute decision before the rosters had to be in. Acuna was on the team. Didn't make any sense. You could have had a veteran guy from the minors or one of the veterans to be a utility infielder and let Beatty play second base. He deserved it from spring training. Why not do that? No, they had to bring up Acuna because David Stern is way too much in love with these prospects. And what happened? You're platooning them where Acuna got the start on opening day, and then it was Beatty. Then it was Acuna. So in your first series, you're already platooning guys. How are they establishing anything? And then there was times when Beatty was hitting and Acuna was playing. And then Acuna was hitting, Beatty was playing. Doesn't work. It didn't make no sense. From day one, the roster construction was stupid. Let alone, I said from day one, the pitching was going to be a problem. I don't care how good they were in April and May. They were going to be a problem. Clay Holmes was very fresh. It's so frustrating because it's the same nonsense. This is the same problem. And Boogie, you can be on Vientos' side, but you haven't said once that he sucks. He sucked all year. He had 3 months of being the starting third baseman, and as soon as Mauricio was healthy and came up here, because the reason why Mauricio was here and called up was because Vientos sucked. Mauricio was supposed to be the third base guy, and then when Mauricio came, he was 0 for his first 14. And he just, what are you going to leave him at third base? No. You got Beatty there, and Beatty even got sent down. So even with Beatty getting sent down, again, Vientos still had another opportunity at third base and still couldn't hold it. And Vientos is so bad that he can't even beat out Marte, the 36-year-old Marte as the DH. That should tell you everything you need to know. Vientos is not a good third baseman. He's positionless. He can't DH because he sucks. I don't care about the 11-game hitting streak. Singles are not helping us when you're Mark Vientos. It's not helping us. We need power from Mark Vientos. The only reason why people cared about Vientos last year was because of his home runs, not because of his blazing speed or his great glove. That was non-existent. It was his bat. You stay in the lineup if you do one thing well offensively. Whatever your niche is what you stay in this lineup for. Vientos was all about the power. His power is gone. So, no, you got 39 games to go. Vientos can sit himself on the bench, watch the game, and maybe do a scorecard because he doesn't deserve to play. We got to stop giving these guys positions and starting jobs when they don't deserve them. This is the problem with David Stearns. None of these prospects deserve it. If it was up to me, Acuna, Beatty, Mauricio will all be sent down. Give me Jet Williams, Ryan Clifford, and anybody else. Give me those guys. Let's see what they can do. But they won't do that because they're deadly afraid they won't be good either. I'm sick and tired of that. It's nonsense. Absolutely nonsense. Stop giving guys starting jobs that don't deserve them. Luis Angel Acuna did not deserve to start the year on opening day. He sucked in spring training. He was terrible. Brett Beatty was a monster. And I'm not caring about the minor league numbers, but when you had McNeil hurt, you said it was a competition. Clearly, there wasn't one because you brought them both up. You could have brought Brett Beatty up here, let him get the starting job. It probably fucked with his head because you're platooning him like, hey, didn't I win the job? You said competition. And no, Acuna got more playing time. And then Beatty struggled because he didn't get enough playing time. Use the same argument for Brett Beatty that you use for Vientos. It doesn't work. Be consistent with the argument. If you're going to use the argument about lack of playing time for Vientos, do it for Brett Beatty. But yet, even Brett Beatty, lack of playing time, still has over 10 home runs. Still has been performing a hell of a lot better than Vientos and every one of these guys that are in this infield that are top prospects. So what is Vientos' excuse? But see, this is funny. No, Vientos does suck, right? 1 year of Vientos doing well is an anomaly. Juan Soto having almost every year of his career being all-star caliber. And by the way, guys, it was all-star caliber. He has, and again, this is where I get pissed off with people. Pete Alonso did the exact same thing as Juan Soto this year. Yet, all you fools wanted to praise Alonso like, who's going to hit 31 home runs and 90 RBIs? If you didn't put the name there, you would think it's a good season. Yeah, but Alonso's a 40 home run guy. Alonso's a 120, 125 RBI guy, batting 260. The only thing Juan Soto is not doing well this year is runners in scoring position. And that's a problem. I completely agree with you. But let me ask you something. What is baseball nowadays? Because the same people who bitch and moan about Juan Soto are the same people running to the front of the line talking about OPS and home runs. Well, if you look at the OPS, it's well over 800. He has 30 home runs. He's on pace for 40, probably more, the most he ever had in his career. And even his average for a guy who's probably going to hit 40 home runs is right where power hitters usually hit. But here's the problem. Juan Soto shouldn't be a power hitter. He's a 30 home run guy who should be batting 280, 285 and being better with runners in scoring position. He's pulling off on everything. Because he was in Yankee Stadium last year, he became a left-handed pull power hitter. That's not his game. He's a gap-to-gap hitter who his best asset is hitting that ball to right center field and driving it. When the majority of Juan Soto's home runs this year have been on the pull side, that's how you know it's not Juan Soto that we're used to from the Nationals, from the Padres to the Yankees. And I agree with you. And by the way, Juan Soto has been better with runners in scoring position as of late over the last 2 weeks. Now, again, he needs to be better. I completely agree with that. But again, for all these people that want to talk about OPS and home runs, Juan Soto is your favorite player then. So I don't want to hear about average and runners in scoring position. Again, that's a problem. But that's a team problem. Besides Pete Alonso, who is starting to pick it up as well with runners in scoring position, because he had a stretch where he wasn't good. But for the most part, Pete Alonso has been the best on the team. Everybody else has been the same problem. They're hovering around 200 and a little under that. So, yeah, I agree with you. But keep it 100 when it comes to your criticism of a guy, because you can criticize a lot of players as well. And just don't talk about just the money. Because that was the same argument from Francisco Lindor last year in May, before he had an MVP season from June until the end of the year. So the fact that even with, and this is the difference. See, nobody wants to talk about it, but it's a big deal. Why do you think Pete Alonso has so many RBIs? Do you think just because he hits the ball and the runs just magically appear? No. Juan Soto has been on base for Pete Alonso a lot. Right? Even though Juan Soto is very frustrating with runners in scoring position, he constantly gets on for Pete Alonso. He's always working counts. And those things, and by the way, when he gets on base, he steals bases, the most in his career already as a New York Met. So look, Juan Soto knows he's not doing well with runners in scoring position. You see the frustration when he doesn't get it done. But at least he's doing other things. This is why I have a problem with Brandon Nimmo. This is why I had a problem with Pete Alonso last year. Because when they weren't hitting, they weren't doing anything. They weren't getting on base, and they were striking out a ton. Same thing with Brandon Nimmo. When Brandon Nimmo wasn't hitting his home runs, he was striking out and not walking. So you're not helping your team in any regards. At the very least, and this is very little, but it's important to understand, when you're not hitting with runners in scoring position, you got to do something else to help your team. You know what Juan Soto does? He gets on base for somebody who's actually hitting in Pete Alonso. That's a plus. Nobody's going to talk about that because you're going to look at the contract and say, well, that's not a $765 million player. Well, you know what? Most players don't deserve their contracts. That's a fact. If you thought Juan Soto was going to hit 45 home runs every year and bat 310 with 140 RBIs, you're an idiot. He's never that type of player. We all know that. But you know where he comes up big? In the biggest moments. His postseason numbers are ridiculous. His September numbers are ridiculous. He basically single-handedly carried the Yankees last year when Aaron Judge was lost in the playoffs. It was him and Stanton. And why can't it be Juan Soto and Pete Alonso? If you want, you got a grudge against Juan Soto for whatever reason. You probably don't like his contract, which is fine. I understand that. Nobody deserves that contract. I agree with you. But you know what? That was the going rate. There was teams that were very close to the overall number. Obviously, there's many incentives where the Mets can go well over 800, but it's not like people were only giving him $450 million. There was 3 teams well over 750. So whoever would have got Juan Soto would have been paying a hell of a lot of money, around $70 million a year. So it's not about the money, and then you just look at the numbers. If you don't know who Juan Soto is, that's on you for not knowing. Because if you just look at the contract, you assume, well, he's probably a 40 home run guy, probably 120 plus RBIs, batting 290. He was never that player. He was never that player. He's a 30 home run guy that's going to hit between 90 and 100 RBIs. He's going to have a high OPS. He's going to have a high on base. This year, he has a lot more strikeouts than normal, which I think is a big reason why is the fact that he played at Yankee Stadium last year and he's pulling everything. And I think he got very home run happy as a Yankee because who wouldn't when he got 314 down the right field line? Like, that's the problem. And again, Boogie, you must be Vientos' like brother or cousin. Like, Vientos is not better than Nimmo, and I can't stand Nimmo. Vientos does not deserve to start. When you get to professional baseball, you need to deserve the starting position. The problem with the Mets in too many years, and they did this with Brett Beatty a couple of years ago. Brett Beatty didn't deserve to play third base. Vientos doesn't deserve to play. He's not a good third baseman, so he shouldn't be playing third base to begin with. And he's not showing any power, and Marte's beating them out for the DH. Because remember, when Beatty started to play a lot of third base and Mauricio, the Mets tried Vientos at DH. He didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. Marte was hitting. You can't sit Marte when he's hitting. He's hit more home runs over the stretch of games than Mark Vientos. So it is what it is. The fact is, Vientos isn't in the lineup. That's a good thing. The Mets have scored over 40 runs in the last 4 games, right? Close to that. And it's with this combination of lineup. The only one that's not here today is Vientos. I'm sorry, and Marte. So it's not the offense, it's the pitching. I even stayed away from the pitching for almost 20 minutes because of that. And by the way, guys, I am doing a watch party for the game today. Noah McLean is his MLB debut. We'll see what we get, probably 5 innings or less. Then that's if he pitches well. Again, I'd be shocked if there's not restrictions on this kid. So again, we're going to fall into the same problem by the 5th inning. And that's only if he pitches well. So not only they said, hey, Noah, how you doing? Welcome to the big leagues. You're facing a team that is offensively really good right now and red hot. And the Mets have lost 14-16. Here you go. Be the savior. Because that's what it is. They're going to tell you it's not, but that's what it is. But is there another way to watch today's game? I think it's on Fox, right? Let me just double check so I can get everybody the right info. It's on Pix, WPIX. All right, so it's on, if you're in New York, it's on channel 11. You got to watch it on the MLB app. That's the only other way. And Michael, you're probably, the Mets are gutless, but the Mets were so gutless last year and they beat you. But again, you guys are the best team in baseball, right? It's hard to kill you, right? With a bunch of guys that are not home runs. We're not a big home run hitters. And they're a hardworking team, right? It's hard to kill the Brewers. Like they got rid of their closer. They lost, Willie Adames, and they've been better. How they do it, I don't know. But you know what? They play well. No, Boogie, we give them credit for last year, but last year doesn't matter when you lose your job multiple times in a season. No, Boogie, but he's on the bench now because he sucks. He had 3 months to keep his job. You can't keep him throwing him out there. He has no track record except for last year. That can't hold your job forever. You're not Francisco Lindor. You're not Juan Soto. You're not even Brandon Nimmo. Shit, you're not even Jeff McNeil. Even Francisco Alvarez has more of a track record where you could say, well, he's actually good behind the plate. He has offensive potential. We saw his home run power. Like, even Alvarez has a little bit of a track record. Vientos has 1 year. And even then, there was flaws that you seen that everybody was concerned about. Mostly third base. So it is what it is. They gave Vientos the DH job. He sucked there as well. And Marte started to hit when he came back from injury, and they kept Marte there. Too bad. You got to earn your spot. He lost his spot multiple times. Earn it. And I like this that Mendoza's doing. You got Beatty and Mauricio playing a lot more often. You know why? Because they've been playing better, and they deserve to play. So with that said, we got the lineup of Lindor, Soto, Nimmo, Alonso, McNeil, Alvarez, Mullins, Mauricio, Beatty. Mauricio playing third, Beatty playing second. Yes, that's correct, right? Just want to double check that for a second. I think that's what it is. Yep, Beatty playing second, Mauricio playing third base. You got the top four who's been the top four. I like Jeff McNeil in the 5 spot. Alvarez has been showing more power. Nice to see. He's batting 6th. Mullins has been pretty good. Not great, but pretty decent. Mauricio has been fine. Not great, but okay. And Beatty has been fine as well. Nothing special. This lineup has been scoring runs. You know, it would be nice for the pitching to actually hold a lead. And I don't know where we're getting from Noah McLean, guys. You know, congratulations on his MLB debut. But I don't know what we're going to get. Like, I understand Met fans are excited, but, you know, simmer your enthusiasm a little bit. Because you're going to get the same of what you've been getting. You're going to get 4 or 5 innings from this kid. And it's not his fault. I believe that he could probably go 6 innings and throw 95 pitches. He did it in the minors. But his last start was 75 pitches. You really think they're going to get him up to 90 pitches? I'd be shocked. Maybe they will. He might get 90 pitches in 4 innings. But I don't think they're going to just throw the restrictions out the window. Even though the Mets need that more than anything. This is why Kodai Senga, who pitched well, we needed him to go that extra inning. And Stroman and I are the same thing yesterday. But they started to give up hits. They looked like they were tired. You know, if you would have got length from the 2 guys that you're supposed to get length from, Senga and Minaya, you don't have to worry about McLean going 4 innings today. You know, you can get him out looking like, all right, you know, he had a good 4 innings. Let's get him out. Let's get the bullpen going. But because Minaya and Kodai Senga didn't really do the ultimate job of going deeper into games where they should be doing it at this point now, it's well past since they come back. It's over a month now. It's already 5 starts. Like, let's go. You know, grow a pair. Let's get it done here. Like, be a big boy. And now Noah McLean, you're not going to hear anybody say, well, he should go deep into the game. Like, why put that pressure on this kid? And you know what? I think the kid got the demeanor to be a guy that's not afraid on the mound and he's going to do what he needs to do. But I think the Mets are going to have restrictions on him. So don't get mad, guys. When we're doing this, I'm going to do a watch party while we're in the game and they take him out in the 4th or 5th inning. Don't get mad, because I'm telling you right now, expect it. If you're not going to expect it, then you're going to get mad. You're going to get mad, and it sucks. I'm not happy with it. A lot of people are not happy with it. But this is the way of the world, right? When you get these prospects, especially pitching prospects, they're going to have a ton of restrictions. And you just hope when they pitch this year and they go into spring training next year that they have very little restrictions. They should be able to pitch 170-plus innings next year. But we're not there yet. We're this year. We're trying to stay in a playoff spot. So, I don't know, guys. I'm so annoyed right now. Like, I'm so glad I had to go to work and did not have to watch the last 4 innings of that freaking disaster last night, because I was pissed. I was listening to Howie and on the radio call, and I was annoyed at work. I was really annoyed at work. When I'm in the TV, when I'm watching it on the TV, I'm cursing at the TV. Right at work, you know, I got to be a little subdued, not very subdued. I mean, people know I'm nuts, and we got a lot of Mets fan coworkers that I work with, but it's so frustrating. Like, there's no lead that's safe. I don't feel confident in any lead anymore. You know, I hope this kid comes out and dominates, but dominating for 4 innings is the same problem we've been having all year. You're not going to get length from the kid if they're not going to make him go. Like, if he's dominating, leave his ass in there until he can't throw anymore. If it's 95 pitches, so what? His arm's not going to fall off. If it is, it's going to fall off regardless. Like, if he's pitching really well, let him get to the fifth inning. If he's throwing really good 4 innings, throw him out there for the fifth. Why not? You ain't probably going to get anything better. So, with that said, the New York Mets face the Seattle Mariners. You got Brian Wu and the MLB debut of Noah McLean. Met fans, you should be excited. But, again, simmer down enthusiasm because there is restrictions on this kid. I'd be shocked if the Mets take it off because they're so desperate right now. Now, I'd like to see the desperation and just leave him out there. I'm not saying, let him get shellacked if he's getting beat up all over the ballpark. You don't want to, leave him out there to die. But if he's pitching well, leave him out there. You brought him up for a reason. You didn't bring him up because you just wanted to take a look at him. You brought him up because you need him. So use him properly. With that said, guys, in about 40 minutes or so, I'll be doing a Mets watch party for the game. It would be, obviously, throughout the game, I'll have the audio. You'll have the information you need, the base runners, the batter, the pitch count, innings, all that fun stuff, and the score, obviously, as well. So tune in, hang out, let's talk a little baseball, let's watch the game together, and listen to the game together. So with that said, guys, I hope we're talking about a win. And I am doing a post-game after it, so probably about 10, 15 minutes after the watch party, I'll do a post-game as well. So, guys, have a good night. Enjoy the game. Try to. Get something to drink, get something to eat. It's going to be a long day for me and you, most likely. So enjoy. Let's go Mets, guys. And I'll see you in about 40 minutes for the watch party, guys. Let's go Mets, and I'll see you in a few, guys.
Seven train rumble, headed to the field. Orange and blue vibes, the energy revealed. Brooklyn to Queens, repping both hoods. Rob and CP, keep it fire, misunderstood. Cheer 'em all loud, let the anthem flow. Mets fans unite at the pregame show. From city stand lights to the skyline greens, it's the heartbeat of Queens, the craziest dreams. Rob hype on the mic, CP's the fire spark. Together they ignite, voices like the park. Fans dripped in jerseys, legacy bold, the Metropolitans.